Town Trustees. This is our regular meeting of October 15, 2025. Item 1 is roll call. I will call the roll. Mr. Snoik.
Here.
Mr. Hermanette.
Here.
Mr. Bradshaw.
Here.
Harrison is here. Ms. Henry.
Here.
Mr. Zoller.
Here.
And Mr. Robertson. He's told us he'd be delayed or not attending. So, item 2 is Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation. Please stand for both.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we gather tonight, we ask that you guide our work, help us to work well together, help us to do well for those who have sent us here, our friends and neighbors, help us to make this a great place to call home. We ask that you be with those who protect us while we do our work here, those who are in the military, the police and fire. We give our thanks for them. We ask that you give them your protection and comfort to their families. We ask this all in your name. Amen. Item 3 is consideration of the meeting agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, clarifications to tonight's agenda? It has been brought to my attention that we should remove items 10C and D for the plans that were submitted were not complete or accurate, and also there was an issue with the resolution, and finally we were awaiting payment regarding being added to the water district and costs associated, so those items will be delayed until our next meeting, and I make a motion that they be removed.
Support.
Moved by Harrison, support by Snoink, that 10 C and D be removed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Those items are removed from tonight's agenda. Any other additions, deletions, clarifications? Seeing none, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Support. Moved by Snoink, support by Hermanette, that we approve tonight's agenda. All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. We have approved tonight's agenda. Item 4 is public comment. This is an opportunity to address the board of any items of interest. There's a public comment before each listed agenda item as well, if you're here for that in particular. Then finally, there's an extended comment period if you have lots to say or needed additional time or want to make additional comment. There's an extended period at the close of tonight's meeting. Does anyone wish to address the board at this time? Seeing none, we can close public comment.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I was a little slow.
I'm a little fast. Well, we'll compromise.
58 now,
Yep.
another week I'll be 58, so
Yep.
I'm old.
Come on up.
I brought a prop for you.
All right.
So, we've been dealing with the yard waste, and last time, after you interrupted me, I acted out. I apologize for that. I won't yell again. That was my fault, so I sincerely apologize for that.
Thank you.
And that's what was not appropriate. But we'll get back to our issue at hand. The dumping of yard waste into rivers or wetlands, one is illegal, up to 800 to 5,000, according to the Michigan laws. And every time you do it, it can be compounded. And the Caledonia laws say that they agree with that, so they would just follow that laws. So to say we're not going to clean it up or it's not in our business to do that is then just not following the laws, and it's not making an issue important enough. Dumping impacts wildlife into the homes, hunting grounds, breeding grounds of the water quality, yard waste like grass clippings, leaves, excess nutrients into the water as they decompose. So we don't want them to decompose because that happens, and that will impact the water quality and the algae in the water and the animals that live there. So it depletes oxygen, harming aquatic life, disturbing the ecological balance of the entire stream. Now I've come here, this is the 4th time I've come here, and I've come to the office a couple times as well. And I went out and cleaned up. Now, this is only one bag. The others are starting to break, because I've had them for so long, because I've done it, didn't have the meeting last time. And I didn't want to bring that in, because my point is not to cause any harm here. That's not it. But I have 2 bags plus a half bag. It took me 45 minutes to clean up. Really, all I asked is to get cleaned up. And that wasn't the branches or anything. That was just the grass clippings. I went out there on my own time, where we pay people to do that. And we pay you to help take care of that. and it could have been done in 45 minutes. You know, I got some gloves, bought some bags to take care of that. Is that my 2 minutes? That's fine.
All right.
No.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, any additional public comment? Seeing none? Board members having approved tonight's agenda, does anyone have an interest in any of the listed items which would prohibit you from discussing or acting objectively on the listed items? Hearing none. Item 6 is approval of the consent agenda. There are a number of items listed there. I'll make note of one, just from observation, that we are approving the hiring of 3 paid-on-call firefighters tonight, and it appears that some of them have joined us for this action. Chief, do you want to address that, or to at least introduce us to the individuals who will be entering service?
Sure. I know I put a big note together for the board package, but basically with us tonight, of the 3, we have Neil Fennell right here, and some of you may recognize or know him from doing other work for us in past elections and whatnot. And we also have Tyler Tell with his parents over there. But Tyler comes to us, he's already taken the firefighter 1 and 2 class. He has a certificate for that, and he's been through an EMT course. He just needs to pass the national registry to have his license. And Noah's gonna embark on both classes going forward. And the other person's not here tonight, Carter Johnson, that's recommended for. He already has an EMT license, and he just has to go to fire school. So they all kind of brought something to the table, and they were an opportunity to hire as quick as we could. So.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for willing to serve. Parents, you are rightfully proud, and thank you for letting them serve as well. We depend on them in our community to literally be the first response when people are in need, and so we are appreciative of their service. As you heard this evening, we pray for them every meeting as well, so we care a lot. So anything anyone would like to say before we take action on these items?
Let's take action, and do they want to take pictures?
We can do that, well, we can break briefly, but you're the one who said you didn't want to spend all night here.
Hey, this is important.
We're gonna get a lot to
This is
do.
important.
We got a lengthy agenda. This is non-controversial, which is why we put it in the consent agenda, because we are thankful and welcoming of your service. I make a motion that we approve all items.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those items are approved. We always say this after, or an item you have interest in, you're welcome to stay or leave, but if you'd like to do some pictures, we will take 30 seconds to vacate, put you, let's do it. That's just not even.
Absolutely.
We'll put you up, and us board members will vacate, and we, this is a very nice,
Different than not staying here.
please
You know?
come up top. Yep, stand between the flags with the township,
Brian, get down.
get up there, Dad.
Yeah,
Let's do father, son, and mom and dad first,
Yep,
and
that's
then
what I'm saying, then I'll
we'll
get
do
in the last
the
one.
new recruits. You got a tear in your eye, Kyle. All right, and now this group, and then we'll do the individuals.
You want to,
Give Chief here.
because otherwise I can send it.
Yep. All right. Now, Chief, get up there with the 2 recruits. And we'll do that. All right.
This is how we do every meeting, everybody just pictures Russian. Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you're consenting to be on social media, and would you like?
Yeah, of course. You're content to be everywhere by joining us, so.
All right, thanks, everyone. You can, feel free to go unless you're like, boy, I drove all the way here, I wanna see it.
Is it one of those, it's one of those things that are.
Oh, did we get another chair?
On my screen.
I don't know.
must be on one
It's all part of my grand plan, Dale.
That's, yeah,
Sorry, my arm.
oh my gosh, I'm gonna sleep here.
All right, item 7 are our reports from board, committees, officers, and staff. I encourage you to read those. I again appreciate that these are done to keep us up on the operations of the township. I will note that someone let me in on a secret that at least one of our departments occasionally puts in that if we identify, it says, if you see this, I'll buy you an ice cream cone, and no one has caught it yet, so read them closer from here on in. So, thank you for that. Item 10A, this is a motion to approve $10,000 additional funding. This is a request by Kent County Road Commission regarding the traffic signal project at Whitneyville and 68th Street. So we've been working towards this. We're fortunate to build a trail in that vicinity that increased pedestrian traffic by design. There's Camp Hall Corner, the ice cream shop, Mike's Pizza, other amenities were let alone the morning traffic at that intersection, finally literally warranted a traffic signal, and we'll be able to install a crosswalk. And so that project is underway, and there was some additional costs incurred. So they're asking us to make an additional contribution. You want to provide anything else?
So with this project, the road commission is taking care of the signal and all of the road improvements, but they asked the township to take care of the reconstruction of the trail because it needed to be lowered, and there were some gas lines underneath that needed to be lowered. So in the initial estimate, we approved a certain amount, but there was $10,000 in an additional cost that they are asking us to take care of to complete that.
And finally, just for those who are following this project and saying, why did they stop and why isn't it done? For want of a pole is the answer. So that we did not have, the contractor did not have the appropriate pole for this, for design, and so we had to order it. And like many things these days with supply chain and so on, it's taking a couple months to have that correct pole received. It won't be an additional cost, that's already been covered within the project, but that will allow us to complete the project once that's received and that will be installed. So, any public comment on the pole in the intersection at 68th in Whitneyville? And that will be nice to have next year when we're doing the highway M37, because I think Whitneyville and Patterson are gonna become the de facto parallel routes. So, discussion or motion regarding this item?
I'll make a motion, we approve the $10,000 additional funding.
Support.
Moved by Hermanette, support by Snoink, that we approve the $10,000 additional funding request by Kent County Road Commission for the traffic signal project at Whitneyville and 68th Street. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Item 10B, this is a discussion to approve the contract with K&S Plumbing for $37,815 for the installation of 6 pressure reducing valves at Portview Flats and Panther Ridge Apartments. It has been brought to my attention, and it is so, that this item was before us at a previous meeting where we decided not to put out a contract for the installation of these, but rather to send a letter to the individuals noting that the changeover of water system has the potential of resulting in a higher water pressure to their buildings, and therefore they want to self-install. And so we're doing, at least the earlier review of this came up with the conclusion that it's something they can take as a defensive protective measure at their own cost, and that also eliminates us having to deal with contractors and warranties of work and things such as that. So for those reasons, this was rejected. It is before us again. The township engineer asked for additional consideration based on some design issues. I'll let the manager talk about the design and bottleneck issues and why, at least the engineer believes, that we've indicated to these property owners that this would be part of the program when we're switching over to the water and so on. And you do have a memorandum to that effect as well. Ms. Nugent?
So we talked about this at the last meeting. However, Todd wanted to bring it back up again because this is the policy that Grand Rapids does, is that if they change somebody's water pressure, then they do take care of the installation of the PRVs, because they believe that it wasn't a customer-created problem. It was a problem that was necessitated by the system. And these 6 buildings that are both Port View Flats and I think some Davenport, Panther Creek, I think, they are getting increased pressure through no fault of their own. That is why Todd would like for us to consider installing those.
That is an introduction, board members for discussion. Mr. Zoller?
Since that time, I was given a copy of that letter. Sent to my uncle who lives in one of those areas of Grand Rapids that was specific to the letter. And he has 94 pounds pressure. They told him everything's fine. He had the same letter when they upped the pressure by 45 pounds. And they told him if he wants to have it, it's on him. So, same thought I had before is our attorney said we're not responsible. And it's a cost of improving your water, whereas all the other users are gonna have some sort of cost most likely when they change over to Grand Rapids, so I'm still a hard no.
I would, just as analogous, I guess, when we make a change in the system, here we're going to a higher quality, from a hardness standpoint, water. If we were doing the opposite, if we were going from Lake Michigan water, said, you know what, let's supply water ourselves, and we started pulling from the ground and every person had to install water softeners, which is now the case as sort of a de facto, that then I'd look at it and say, Caledonia made a change, and should we therefore be responsible for installing water softeners in everyone's house because we changed source, and this is going to go into their home, potentially, affect their appliances. So it's, to me, that's kind of I can see very much where Trustee Zoller is coming from, that they could take proactive measures to protect their appliances, to protect their piping in their home that's going to be affected by the water quality. And here, it's another characteristic of the water, it's the pressure that could be entering the home, and that also can cause damage to your appliances, to your piping and things like that. So we're making a change that has the potential to cause harm. So the question is, because we're making a change, should we be installing these solutions or protections? Or should someone say, I want to protect my home, and therefore I'll buy the water softener, or in this case, the pressure valve? So I think the answer is whatever you believe is right, and so on. And we do have examples from other communities how they handle it, at least when it comes to pressure release valves, reducing valves. So, open to discussion, thoughts, comments, observations.
I do think it sets a little bit of a precedent. We're putting these in, the pressure valves, and we're gonna say that's gonna make it better and it's gonna help, but there's always things that happen with that kind of stuff, and it worries me that now all of a sudden we're involved in something that we don't even have to really be involved in.
Right. So, I'm gonna make a motion to deny.
Support.
Moved by Snoik, moved by Zoller, supported by Snoik, that we deny. Additional discussion?
If we were to move forward, which is not the current motion, I would want to further understand, like Port View Flats in particular, do they have, I don't know, as tenants, do they own? I can't remember, I think they're condos.
It's a mix between the two, is my understanding, that
Yeah.
some are owned by individuals, who may have an interest in protecting their property, others are owned and are available as rental units. Arguably, the owner has an interest in protecting his own or their own piping and appliances, because those would be owned by it. So I think there is a difference in ownership, but I'm not sure the motivations would be different if I owned a rental or a condo.
Yeah, I was just trying, is there an HOA for the overall building? Like how does someone sign this agreement?
Is this a singular to the building too, or does
There's 3 buildings, my understanding is each building would get a PRV, so you'd have to sign off on, really liability on all of them. And there's only 3 individual owners the last time I checked. The rest were owned by
Okay.
the original developer.
So in that case, if the developer signed the agreement, maybe we would be covered. But I guess that's just a detail that I would, if we were to approve anything, I would do a contingent on the agreement actually being signed. I don't know if anybody's approached them or if they've seen the agreement, but that's not the motion on the table. So anyway.
I'm gonna enhance.
Brian,
Yes, sir. Mr. Snoik.
are we setting precedents if we okay this particular one,
Yeah.
legally, are we opening ourselves up to other homeowners and that to come back and say, you did it for them, now you do it for us?
We are, but I'm told that the reason, we're intentionally increasing the pressure, so there's a literal bottleneck, a smaller pipe, and in order to maintain pressure beyond the bottleneck, you increase pressure behind it, so you're pushing the water through. And they're above the bottleneck, so think of, above the dam or whatever, so we're intentionally increasing the water pressure so that we can maintain it downstream through a bottleneck. So they're above it, so like, man, you just cranked up the volume here in order to help the people downstream. So they're more likely to face reduced pressure because of the bottleneck, but we're trying to equalize it for them. So in some sense, these people are being affected for the benefit of the downstream people. If we did not have a bottleneck, and there's a chance that we will eliminate the bottleneck at some point in the future, that will make this all moot. But currently, because it goes through a bottleneck, that's why the increase in pressure is being applied upstream.
And it was told to me that it could happen if one of the lines were to break, the one that goes under M6. That's why we would need this increased pressure. That's a could. But I also look at, our attorney said, we're not responsible to do this. And that's what, send them a letter. That's what we said on our when we had this meeting. And that's why it's still a hard no, is I think we are opening, setting a precedence when we change things in future issues.
And had we known we were going to hook up to the Grand Rapids system when they came in with their site plans, we would have required them to put in these PRVs because it's known because of the bottleneck that the pressure upstream has to be increased. So it wasn't at the time, because water's actually coming the other direction. So they weren't required to do it at the time of building, even though it was relatively recent. There's a motion to not move forward with the installation. All in favor of not moving forward, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it looks like, once again, we have affirmed the decision. I assume that means that the earlier action to send a letter, to deny it, but to send a letter to the owners, making them aware that they may want to investigate and install, will be sent to the owners.
Yeah, we have, those particular units will be the testing ground for the water anyway, so we have to send them a letter, and we'll include that in that letter that gets sent out.
Okay. So that was 10B. We've eliminated C and D. 10E is a motion to approve water testing agreement between Caledonia Township and the City of Grand Rapids. So with our connection into the City of Grand Rapids, there is required testing to make sure both systems are safe before you start to intermingle and interconnect. Beyond that, what should we know, Ms. Nugent?
Absolutely. So we have to give the people who live in Portview townhomes at least a week's notice that their water will be changing. If you read through the agreement, it does state that those rates would be billed at Cascade Township rates, but the customer would be continue to be charged Caledonia's rates until January 1st. I asked Todd about this, and he said, it's such a short period of time that there's this gap that they're going to continue, and they're also a testing ground. So he still feels that it is appropriate to continue to charge them at Caledonia's rate until January 1st. It's about 2 months at the most before they get charged whatever the rate is that is set by Grand Rapids for the new water rate.
What is the difference, do we know, in the rates? What is the Cascade rate versus the?
I don't know the Cascade rate. I know it's higher, but I can't tell you what the exact difference is in the per 1,000 gallons. I know our rate is $3.60 per 1,000 right now, but I can look up Cascades.
And these are the same people we decided they have to install their own valves?
Yes.
Okay, so
The average Cascade customer is $114.85 per Todd's email on October 9th. And
do we know the price per
yeah,
1,000 or whatever?
$69.75 readiness to serve per quarter and $3.22 per 1,000 gallons.
So I assume the cascade rate is slightly lower.
Yeah, it's lower than ours is 360.
In essence, those are, I'm trying to make the rational case, not the good neighbor case. The rational case is that they're the only ones that will be on the system, correct?
Yeah,
And so while we do the testing and so on, it will be serving only them. And so they won't have the benefits of the remainder of the system, which we floated up our system with all the system charges, right? The emergency services, ready to serve, our water rates for pulling it out of the ground. So they'll be the only ones, in essence, not receiving those benefits or the burdens, I guess, of being on the Caledonia system would be the rational reason for it.
I also think there's also the rationale of having to change just those units for 2 months before they have to do a completely other change and split the system in two is probably also a part of the reason his recommendation was to continue to charge them at Caledonia's rate, just to keep it easy until it changed over completely.
Yeah, I didn't catch this in the utility committee to have a complete conversation on why. To me, we're gonna do the testing, that's required. So it comes down to, the only thing that I think we have flagged is what rate they're paying for their water during the 3-month period that we're transitioning over. It's been suggested, at least in this memorandum from the township engineer, that we charge them the cascade rate, which we don't have accurate information even what that is, but I assume there's not a cost-driven estimate, but a engineers-driven rationale. Knowing Todd, that's why it makes sense, so.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the cascade rate.
The testing and then as recommended, got it. I'll support that. I know that Mr. Zoller had an interest, I'm not sure why he,
He said he had an emergency.
okay,
call.
all right. If the vote's close, well, any discussion? All in favor of moving forward as recommended during the testing period, to charge them the cascade rate, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Did I second that?
You did.
You
I
did.
did, okay, just want to make sure we had a second.
Yeah, we do.
All right. 10F is a motion to review, modify, and approve the updated administrative policies and procedures requested by the Personnel Committee and redlined by the Township Attorney. So, Ms. Nugent for introduction.
Absolutely. So our current administrative policy requires that in order to hire anybody, I have to go to the board for approval. And now that we have a township manager, the personnel committee kind of wanted to get rid of that requirement for non-department heads. So that if there was a position that was already there and somebody was to leave and it was non-department head, I would be able to put the position out for hire and to be able to hire, just to kind of make sure that the process goes a little bit smoother. The same policies are still in effect for department heads. It still has to go through the board and be approved, just like how the assessor went. But this is just to try to streamline this process so that there's not so much time that is between when there's a vacancy and we can put somebody in a position. There's a couple of other things that she redlined, like the ability of the clerk and the FOIA officer to look at personnel files if they need to. There's also the inclusion of the Bullard-Lewicki Employee Right to Know Act. And then there was also just an update on the selection of how a non-department head is selected, and then an inclusion of who is considered a department head. So everything is in red that has been changed. So it's just for you guys' review to approve. There aren't major changes. The main one is just that I am able as a township manager to put out for hire and hire non-department existing positions.
We don't have anything in red.
Oh, you don't?
I do.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
in
over here.
the
I
manual,
was gonna
yes,
say,
I,
I do.
I'm sorry, I did
You
see
have
that.
I have
Yeah.
I
Okay.
thought she was,
I can give you mine if you'd like.
No.
He's got it.
yeah,
Okay.
fine.
Okay, with that as an introduction, with apologies for the action items we've already moved forward on, is there any public comment? I'm used to playing to an empty house, so I'm just in my cadence of working through the agenda. Any comment on this item? Okay, seeing none.
Did I make a brief comment?
Sure, please step forward, identify yourself for the record, and,
Where you live?
yeah.
Yes. Chief here again. I read through the whole thing and I actually think it's great. I just give you a perfect example of, tonight, the issue with the paid on call. It was a minor formality on the consent agenda type thing, but I had him on the prior meeting, because the meeting before that, I was waiting on some paperwork, but I was dragging these people on for like almost 6 weeks to try to get the official hire when they were jumping into a non-department head type position, and I know it becomes a formality, but I think definitely giving the manager some of that ability to take non-department heads, as long as it's not, creating a new position or anything else like that, that stays with the board, but it would help us greatly. I have one of those guys that we just hired is starting class on Monday, so welcome to diving right into things and whatnot. So just as a fellow department head, or as a department head under the manager, I think it would greatly help my efficiency with hiring people, so thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah, just, again, to point out the obvious, that these are already approved positions, already serving, so the board's already approved the creation of them, their pay rate and so on. It's just a matter of filling them again. So it's not sprawl or, bureaucratic creep by adding positions, adding new positions and things like that would still come to the board. But this allows them to post approved job descriptions for already created positions, things like that. So we still maintain control over the organization, but the operations of it, the manager is allowed to manage. So any other discussion regarding these items? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Support.
Moved by Zoller, support by Hermanette, that we approve item 10F. To review, modify, and approve updated administrative policies and procedures requested by the Personnel Committee and redlined by the Township Attorney, Micah Meyer. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. And those items are approved. Item 10G is to approve light installation for the holiday season at the Community Green at a cost of $8,042 for the first year, followed by second, third, and fourth years at a cost of $5,361. I'll give a brief introduction. You can provide additional information, Ms. Nugent, if needed. And then I know we're joined by our Parks Department coordinator as well, who helps us to operate our parks and our celebrations and decorations and so on. So in essence, we have evolved the way we celebrate holidays. So we spend money on the 4th of July for fireworks. We will support with sponsorship many of the events at Community Green. When it comes to Christmas in Caledonia, the village does a parade, but the township comes alongside on a different weekend for that time of the holiday season. And we highlight our Community Green Park by doing a luminary walk. And that is enhanced by holiday lighting at the park. We've done that ourselves in the past, but in the past we had a full-time, or at least we had an employee in our maintenance buildings and grounds who could do some of this work. We are now doing that on an as-needed basis with a part-time employee. And so there's some savings, I guess, is my point, in that we aren't paying for someone who could be out there installing them. This proposal is front-loaded with some high costs in the first year to buy the materials, and then the subsequent years, they would store the materials for us, correct? Or would they go in our maintenance building? They'd store the materials for us, bring them back and install. And so this is similar to what I've seen in other communities, that in essence, you purchase your lights, but they install them and they hold on to them for you. I go back to the paying for a piece of pizza versus buying the whole pizza. It might be cheaper per slice to buy the whole pizza, but in this sense, we're just buying what we need, and that's installation of Christmas lights as opposed to having a full-time building and maintenance person to run to Home Depot and then get on ladders and things like that, which ultimately would cost more in the long run than hiring the service. They also take them down. In the past, I know we've like, are Christmas lights still up, or is that the, what's the green stuff called?
The garland.
Is the garland blowing in the wind, on Valentine's Day still? So I think this is If we're going to do the holiday celebration, I was one who said, can we up it a little bit? There's lots of nice mature trees and the architecture of the different buildings, which I think would create a more festive experience, not only for the luminary event and so on. Having said that, we are an entity that takes money forcefully from people and then spends it, and so we should be cognizant of doing that responsibly.
We're gonna need to replace all the lights anyways. Because the number of strings were bad. Some of the garland was starting to be worn out anyways, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
Support.
Okay, is there any public comment? Okay. There is a motion to approve the installation for the holiday season at the community green holiday lighting at a cost of $8,042 for the first year, followed by the second, third, and fourth years at a cost of $5,361. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
No.
And that item is approved. Item 10H is a motion to approve the township office closing December 26th and January 2nd with employees using PTO or unpaid time off. Miss Nugent.
I like madam.
For introduction. It's Madam Mayor, I was used to hearing that for a long time, no, it's Madam Manager.
So the holidays are very strange this year. Christmas is, I think, on a Thursday, and then, they would come back to the office just for 4 hours the next day. It's the same the next week with New Year's, and what we're suggesting is that so many people will be taking time off, and it just gives the employees, they would need to use PTO for those 2 days, but it would give them an extra day with their family, and we'd just be able to close the office and give them a little bit of extra time. They'd have to use the PTO or unpaid time off, but we could close it so nobody has to worry about coming in, and it just gives people time, and I think that we have great employees who work hard all year. It's nice. It's a nice thing to do.
So it's a closing of the office on the half-day Fridays.
Yes, 26th and the 2nd.
In addition to the holiday, paid holidays that are called for in our policies and procedures. So we'd be closed 22nd, 23rd,
No, we'd be open
I'm sorry.
22nd and 23rd.
We would be open the 22nd and 23rd,
And
and the
close the
29th and 30th.
Mhm.
All right.
Motion approved.
Support.
Move support. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And the holiday schedule has been set, as defined. Then our budget workshop. So we're right on time in October to start looking at our budget. We are on a calendar year budget, so this is our first look at revenue coming in and where it's going to go out. And so the manager has prepared a preview of that. We'll have an official public hearing. So this is a workshop where we can move stuff around, but then we will publicize it. The public can come in and make comments, and then the board can take action towards adoption. So that is our historical budget process, and we're beginning that now. Ms. Nugent.
Absolutely. I will go through our budget, and then I'll let Scott take over for public safety. I think that one of the things that you probably are all aware of at this point is that there has been a change to our state revenue sharing. We took a hit to constitutional revenue sharing. We were expecting 1.5 million, and we will now be getting 1.492 million, which is a change of about 38,000. I mean, it's not a lot, but it's still significant and should be noted. When it comes back, I'll make sure that's reflected. Otherwise, the major changes that we're seeing in the next year is we're gonna have another election next year. It's going to be expensive. I put in the budget 50,000. We have early voting, and I know Joni can talk more about that, but we estimate high and hope it's lower than that, but we know it's gonna be a big year for elections. I think we have 4 that we know of already. Another thing that's changed is we hired a new assessor. I put in highlighted ink, it's gonna be 110,000, and that's how much it's going to be. So that's correct and will stay the same. Otherwise, there aren't a whole lot of changes to the budget. It's just kind of staying with planning for what costs are going to be next year. I know there are some requests to do some painting in the library and the community room, and then we also need to consider this building needs some TLC. But again, this budget is just a workshop. If you guys have anything you'd like to see altered, changed, recommended, please let me know and I'll put it in for the next round.
Question, did you do this on Excel initially?
Yes, I do it on Excel.
Can you send me that?
Absolutely.
Perfect,
Yeah.
thank you.
Go just send all this.
I think I sent this out via email a few weeks ago, but I'll send it again. I'm happy to send it again.
I don't know if I saw that.
It's at the end of the packet too. It's in the,
Yeah. No, I
With the
have.
printout,
Oh.
you're
Oh,
seeing
printout,
the
gotcha.
Excel electronic copy.
Oh, gotcha.
Because I know
She
many
sent
of
us
us
the
have
electronic.
historicals and you can,
yeah,
I can definitely send it out to you guys again. I know that Tim responded, I sent it out probably the 16th of September, and then we didn't have a meeting on the 1st, so it's kind of been hanging, and things have changed because we've obviously gotten more money that's come through since then and had more expenses. But Tim had some recommendations, and I think I reflected those already. in this.
on the report.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But for now, if you have anything you'd like to add, I think I kept the community promotion at 50,000. That's kind of where we put fireworks and events and things we do.
I haven't had a chance to totally go through this. I know historically we have put money into roads and then partnered with Kent County Road Commission for upgrading the roads in our community, because that's a co-pay situation to get to the front of the line and get where we want to be. With the M37 project coming through, I guess I'm giving this as a statement to board members. They're looking to the township to pay some costs, associated costs. Even though it's an M road, even though we help secure the M dollars and bring them back home, there are improvements we saw, whether it's trails or crosswalks, things like that, that they are looking to the township to pick up. They'll be baked into the contract, they'll still do them, but they're saying, we wouldn't do this if it was just an MDOT project. And so those are things that, Tim, do you recall the amount about?
It was 400 to 450,000, I want to say, in that
So we
ballpark.
typically put 250 a year towards Kent County. Ironically, with us getting less in revenue sharing, they're getting more because there was a move by the legislature intentionally put more money into roads. So Kent County's going to be getting a windfall, Kent County Road Commission, I should say, will be getting a windfall, and we're seeing less in our general revenue sharing. So I've already put them on notice that during budget process that I would be asking this board not to spend that money with Kent County over the next 2 years and use that 250 over 2 years to pay MDOT. So we're still putting it into roads, but it's gonna be the M road, not the county roads. And the county will be okay, because one, we in particular are way ahead of other communities as far as improving miles of road within Caledonia. Other communities are playing catch up or haven't started yet. And we have to get the M37 project done, so it just kind of forces itself to the front. And it's gonna be a better project because of these elements we've asked to be included. Tim pushed and pushed for them to pay for it, because a lot of it's pedestrian movement, things like that, because they claim to want complete streets, and that pedestrian's part of what they do, because it keeps people off the streets. But they still said, bring your checkbook, and so that's reality. So it's 400,000 in a $20 million project?
54 million, I think.
$54 million, okay, yeah, so,
Yeah,
so.
it's all,
And also out of that
Peanuts.
428,000, I think 184,000 of that is actually the Smoking Joe sewer that we just approved at the special meeting as well.
That's true, yep.
So it's a little bit less.
Local stuff we need to get done. So I'm putting that out there as one observation. Another observation, then question, we're going, a couple, I guess. We're going through our parks visioning. We don't have any aha or here's where we want to go next, but we are hopefully nearing completion with Andronico on that key piece of our park. So we'll be spending money either this year or next, will be the request for parks. So we'll want to make sure that's fully funded. Barber School has its own department, but we still neglect it every year. It sits on the back lot of the old, the old fire department, old road commission building, which is now the village BPW. So we own a historic schoolhouse. I think we own it unless they became de facto owners when we sold them the property with all accoutrements. But regardless, the community is has a historic schoolhouse. It is really in need of repair. I think it is also in need of we really want to be aggressive. We should move it to a place where it can have prominence and be noticed. But all that costs money. I was involved with Ada and their Little Red Schoolhouse. One of the families in Ada decided to spend the money, but it was hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix up a clapboard schoolhouse and make it into a centerpiece of their park there in Ada. So we have it. It's the only historic building that we own and maintain too. So if we're going to give a nod to history and take care of that building, that's something to think about as well. Boy, there was one other, Andronico, Barber School, and M37. No, those are the three I wanted to put out in front of you for discussions.
We still have the pathway too next year.
Well, and we're paving paths and so on. Yep, I view that almost like, yes, but yes.
The pathway is in Parks and Recreation for 1.2, but I'll add Andronico too.
And that request could come yet this year, explaining the Andronico. Good news and better news, but bring your checkbook on Andronico, is that we are seeking to purchase the property. The owner is amenable to selling the property, but is putting conditions on that we develop it basically immediately into a park rather than buy it for a future park. Wants to participate, donate back the proceeds of the purchase to make it a park, but though that donation falls short of the total cost of making it a park, so we would have to come up with additional dollars, even after getting refunded back the purchase price. So the nice thing is you're getting free property, but it comes with an obligation and a price tag, but the community would have one more park on the Thornapple River. And so that design and the budget is being developed and will be brought before you, hopefully by the end of the year, to consider. Allison, other things I would say, I asked the manager to put in a cost of living. So do you know what percent we put in for staff and so on and for?
I don't have the cost of living increase yet. We just changed it, so I've got to go and look it up, what it will be. But I always,
Is one in here though, or is it
No.
flat?
No, it's flat right now.
Okay, so that's probably something we should look at, and if we're gonna be fully transparent when we publicize this, we should show what our, I know we have a named factor, and we've gone back and forth, at least we named the factor that the federal government publishes for a cost of living increase for our employees, so we should factor that into the overall cost. And then for us as elected officials, that we are put in the uncomfortable situation of having to consider and approve that as well, if there is to be any increase in pay for elected. Then, of course, we have our manager, who is a township employee but has not seen an increase under the terms of her contract. I believe the first 2 years were set amount,
well,
or there just hasn't been an increase, let's put it that way.
Yeah,
The higher amount
yeah.
was set.
yeah, I don't have in my contract specifically, it states I don't receive the COLA, so there has been no increase.
So there has not been a COLA or a merit increase for the managers since the hire, so that's something we should consider. Separate but related, I will be scheduling a review of the manager for this board. The way employee reviews work, that employee can request that be public, or that employee can request that it be in closed session. That is one of the exceptions to the closed session, that you can go into closed session for a review of an employee. Is that accurate, Madam Clerk? Thank you. So those things could also switch the numbers we're seeing here as far as wages. And of course, that's a lot of what we do, is pay people to do things for us, so we should look at that.
And I did want to say that, we talk about COLA. When I do the budget, I always factor in the COLA of every employee, except for mine, because mine doesn't factor that in, but at the top that is 5%, just so it includes the maximum that it could be for the rest of the employees.
You have You have the same amounts under a number of them.
I think that's what she said, that she doesn't know what the
You
rate
didn't
was.
put in 5% yet.
For the other employees, yes, but not for. not-
Electeds and yourself?
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
gotcha.
The electeds is, the electeds is the 5%, I believe, as well. The only one that's different, I think, is if you look at the Board of Trustees, and I set that back at 30,000, but it's, the only reason I set it lower was just because on our current trends, it still wasn't close to what we had set it.
I wanna,
And then,
I guess I have some
Yeah,
questions.
there's some anomalies here.
Yeah, some are going down,
mhm.
some are going, so
None of them should go down.
when I'm looking at the treasurer just right now.
Well, that was a different number.
So what, the reason that you'll see it going down is because when we set the budget last year, we put the numbers in that, that we were considering, and then the board approves
A different
The-
amount.
later, like right before the end of the year. So the budget is approved before the salaries are set.
Gotcha. So the budget approved isn't the amount we spent, because we approved a different amount.
Yes.
Roger that. Okay. But still, the requested amount, going back just to the treasurer, and Dick's not here, so it's a little easier to talk about it, but it's listing the requested amount at
20,
20.
20,000, and he's above that?
no.
No?
he's not.
No, he's not.
Okay.
And also if you
Well, the
look at
25 is the one, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all coming back.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
And then you have, planning commission members, you have them at a 5%?
I think that the planning commission just makes a flat rate, so
Well,
unless,
yeah, but we always give them their,
the 5%, yes.
the
The only,
COLA, and then, you know,
The
even
per
though I'm
diem.
on ZBA, you do the ZBA the same way.
every board has gotten an increase of 5%, and I'll review to
Okay.
make sure that's fair and
Right.
accurate. But the only one that did not get an increase, it just stayed the same, was the building inspectors, because they're paid so high already that Gary said you can just keep them at that rate of per diem.
You need public comment, or does anyone want a copy? Certainly, it's public information. Greg, your thoughts on Barber School? I know you and your family have been involved in the historical elements.
We hired the wrong person or the person didn't prep the front porch properly. It was treated lumber, and then wasn't prepped properly and oil-based paint put on, so that's why that peeled. The rest of the building is in fairly decent shape overall. We might be able to get some of the historical people to volunteer some of their time if we provide materials and have it prepped, but, you know, it looks like 2,500, that should cover getting that done properly. If we have the porch painted next year. Moving it, I think, would be a great idea, but we probably have to do a fundraiser or something like that.
Or you could possibly look at who has the ability to do that lives in Caledonia that would
Right.
give the time to do it. Because I think there are some families that would actually say, we'll do it.
Move it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
But I'd want to fix it, it would be nice to really make it a showpiece.
I
or
agree with
What it really needs
Yeah,
is,
I agree.
the porch needs to be painted. We had the other painted around 3 or 4 years ago. Hasn't been long.
We should do a full assessment. One other possibility, because I would envision us moving it probably to community greens somewhere, find an appropriate place to put it. So that can be used for those activities. It's a high visibility center of our community. And possibly make it so it could be opened, obviously, for use. Given that it's in a park and in history and parks, part of the discussion of the parks and trails process that's going on right now is a dedicated millage for parks, trails, development, maintenance, and care. That as we build these things, we gotta take care of them, plow them during the winter and things like that. That's one area we could tie it into as well, given that it's gonna become de facto part of our park property as well. So we'd have to take care of it as a park property at that point.
We are fortunate right now that where it is, one of the historical people is Leo. He lives right in front of there. So he is the one who unlocks and locks the place along with the blacksmith shop. He's over there puttering around a lot.
Yep.
And if we move it to community green, we're gonna have potential for vandalism and things like that, and that's a concern of mine,
Yeah, good
you
point.
know, so how are we gonna open it, close it, and things like that? You know, that's in the future, but
What about that lot right next to the Paul Henry Trail? Could we put it on that? Sorry. No? All right.
Just to let you know,
That's
just kind
right
of an
away.
interesting idea, is that the village does plan to have that big piece of property that's like kind of next to the old road commission building. They'd like to turn that into a pocket park. So is there the potential to include it there? I don't know.
It's less visible, but we wouldn't have to move it as far. So
Yeah.
next to the DPW is a nice green space.
I think,
I think the community green would be great. I don't wanna be naive about thinking, I don't think there's gonna be vandalism on a 100-year-old building, but there could be. I
We
mean,
have vandalism on our
Yeah.
park property.
I know.
we just had a bunch of our, you know, stackable stone ripped off the different places and broken. You know, both at the pavilion and,
Bathrooms.
the bathroom area, which, you know, now we gotta hire a mason because they gotta be cut,
Mhm.
you know? It's not like if they just came off, you just put some liquid nails, but now you gotta have somebody with, you know, special saw to cut them for, so. I am concerned about vandalism,
Yeah.
and we've had people kicking in outlets, things like that, and, you know, our current prosecutor doesn't wanna prosecute things like that, so.
All right, I don't think anything else. There's gonna be a lot happening in 26, but most of it we've anticipated and there's budgeting for. So between elections and M37, even the building of parks and so on, I think most of it's in here. So, we do a lot of work, but it's all covered. I don't think we have any new things I can think of. Chief, do you wanna talk about public safety?
You have a copy of it? Well, I have it here on the seat. Does everybody else have it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I did, thank you.
Do I have a copy? of
Very
public
quick.
safety?
Everybody does have a copy of it?
Oh, we do. I think we do.
Did I miss it?
Where?
Emergency services, got it, sorry.
Yeah, there it is.
205.
Yeah.
So one thing that's key is like, I think everybody knows here is, this is police and fire, of course. And, at the very bottom of, well, it's different than this, but, one thing to note that I talked to our, new self sub-lieutenant, see, cause the number for what we pay for the county car being Caledonia has always kind of been a moving target, it's hard to tell, but, last we checked, it's around $33,000 a month. That's what we're paying, so I kinda multiply that out by 12 to get a ballpark of what that car is. That's where I projected 460,000 is gonna be our 19 car that we have for 16 hours of the day. And then we found out too that the SRO is $20,000. Now this came along as well this year. If you didn't catch that, but apparently the school's paying for the SRO and then they bill us back for it because they missed billing us last year and they sent us a bill for $40,000 this year for the last 2 years in one. So that kind of affects the budget once in a while when we don't realize we didn't pay the year before, but we paid both the same year. But with that being said, you know, the projected public safety revenue for next year is at, you know, 2.17 billion, no, million, sorry, billion would be great. 2.17 million, but right off the top of that, we take $480,000 for the sheriff's department. So that's almost a quarter of what I work with here. So anyways, what I did to start it back with going into the paid on call wages, if you're looking at last year proposal versus this year, again, I took the worst month that we've had so far this year, paid on call wages, so that's for everybody that is not full-time, for trainings and stuff like that. And we essentially have, and the wages are a little bit different because we do payroll
every 4 weeks, so there's actually 13 pay periods. So if you want a rough number of what per month is, it's really not per month, it's 13th of the year. So I took our worst month so far this year, multiplied it times 13, and that got me just shy of $200,000. So that's why there's an increase in the paid on call, and that's also with I took for COLA 3%. All the things I was kind of looking at, I know everybody's kind of saying with the government shutdown, it's pretty hard to come up with a number, but I'm seeing somewhere like 2.7% as a projected possible COLA. So again, I shot with 3%, but I figured that into all the wages. The firefighter wages, we'll have several people that get a step wage. It's a little confusing too because our wages were lower this year because if you remember, one of our full-time firefighters was deployed. He's in Syria right now, so we haven't paid for him all this year, but we will again next year. So there's quite a jump in the full-time wages because we'll have our full staff again. And to be honest with you, that could affect a little bit of the paid on call wages. They may not be as high as they were because we've been trying to fill in for him, but generally the floater we hired has been filling all of his shifts. So again, one way or another, either the full-time wages or paid on call wages put together, I think we're pretty close on that. The other thing is with the jump in the deferred comp as well too, talking with legal on this and how it works, but again, with our firefighter who's deployed, he's gone a whole year without been able to pay any retirement, because I said, to me that's not fair that, he's losing out on a whole year of being able to pay his retirement. And they said, well, they can't pay while they're gone, but they can opt to double pay when they get back. So, and actually that does become a benefit then to them because now they're able to put in the percentage they missed plus that year, but it's at the next year's rate, so it's a little bit higher. So I'm good with that, but like I say, the deferred comp, that's why there's a good jump in that because we're figuring, I don't know if he saved his money when he was over there from Uncle Sam, he's willing to take more out of his check this time around. I don't know what he's gonna do, he comes back in April. So I have some gray areas in the wages, but I'm planning for worst case scenario. So anyways, that's a big chunk up top, but then as we go down, everything else is pretty much standard where it was until you get down to truck equipment. Now, if you look at last year's proposal, 10,000, this year 100,000. Wow, what's going on? We have a new truck coming, and so one of the things we've done is the truck we are replacing is, well, put it this way, we have one of two trucks. We're not sure which one we replace yet when we see how our new one operates, but either way, we're gonna sell a truck, and that's gonna help us recover some of the cost of the equipment stuff we put on it. But in the past, we've always moved all the equipment over and then found out that quickly it's falling apart or doesn't fit right or whatever. So we said, if a truck's 20 years old, this truck's already coming with new ladders on it and everything else like that. We're just updating the equipment every 20 years because we use it a lot more than we used to. So that 100,000 is to put hose, things like that, all on the truck to equip it when we get it. We may recover some of that back when we sell the truck we're getting rid of. As all you recall, like the last one we sold, I think we got close to $150,000 for it, and we sold it with the old equipment on it. So, but again, I don't know, so I'm saying worst case scenario, I have enough money to buy new equipment for that truck, and if we get absolutely $0 for the other one, which we know that's not gonna be the case, we're safe. If we have additional funding, it could just go towards capital. Uniforms, we just had some extra stuff we needed this year. I cut that back down. Everything else is pretty much on par with marginal increases. I think another one to skip down to. One thing before that, scheduled maintenance. That is almost $20 a hit. Right now, I budgeted 40,000 last year, and I think I'm over 50 for maintenance right now. And my big concern is if we keep our engine 73, that's the one that's through the fire commission that becomes our sole ownership next year, and that's the one that's costing me the most money right now. So if it stays in our fleet, it's gonna probably add cost to repairing. So something to consider, but that's the projected. I know by the end of this year, I may be close to 60 already for this year. So we were underestimated for this year. And then I think talking about the truck that's coming in, and this is where I rely on Treasurer Robinson or Marcia in the office of what stuff to look legit, but essentially, we need to pull the truck we have coming that is due to be here like in March or April. Our share of that is about $800,000. And if you recall in the past, when we didn't up the millage and we said we'd contribute, instead of traditionally, we've tried to put $200,000 into our savings account for trucks. That doesn't make sense to me to put money in this piggy bank and then pull it right back out. Why don't we just put that towards a truck? So I'm projecting or showing a $600,000 pull from that savings account plus the $200,000 that the general fund would supplement to pay for that truck. And so we're not putting any money in the savings account, but we're not taking any more out of it either. So that's the cost of the truck. And then again, depending on what we sell and what we get for it, if we get $50,000 for one of our trucks used or 70, who knows what we get, that can go back into capital to help save for the next one. And I don't foresee, I have not been notified of any grant purchases. As you know, this year, the sprinklers are just getting done. That was a $95,000 grant I got last year. It was a $100,000 grant. We had to supplement 5% of that grant. That's the $5,000. So that had in grant purchases last year. As anybody watches current administration, where we're at with FEMA, where we've been getting our money from, that's pretty much a done deal. It's gonna be pretty hard to get any money from them. So not foreseeing any grant purchases, and the cost of our gear has gone up a little bit. I have that figured in there. And other than that, if taking everything that I've allotted for and counting on the $200,000 additional from general fund, after paying the sheriff, after paying everything else I have, it puts a fund balance around just under $60,000 in the account. Our auditors like to see a $50-ish thousand balance kind of sitting there to know we're healthy, that we're not running in the red all the time. So kind of hit all those marks there. So if anybody has any question about any lines or whatever, I'd be glad to answer them.
Scott, what are you putting over, what are you asking for out of general fund?
The 200, like that was done this year, and like I say, my thought was when we buy the truck, we gotta write a check anyways. And I do know, talking with Treasurer Robertson, he said, like, while we have this money allotted in capital outlay, some of it's invested. So I think getting close to the end of the year, next year, beginning of next, we get more of it freed up. But some of this stuff was put in at a time where, hey, we invest it long term, we're gonna get 4%. The crazy thing is our money market is making more than that, and it's available right now. So who can foresee the future? But yeah, so with that, where I'm showing that general fund transfer, if we had it, was to help pay for the truck when we buy it, and then we only pull $600,000 out of the savings account, which leaves us on par to replace our next truck. So
I just have a quick question to Manager Nugent. Do we have that $200,000 in our budget for the general fund?
to transfer
Yeah.
over.
To go over, okay, I didn't look for it, so thank you.
Chief, remind me of the status, this is the ladder truck that
Nope.
we're not there yet, that's $1 million.
Yep. And I got another plan for that, but I won't get you in that right now. But
I had a thought on it.
the truck we have,
Over time, yep.
it's our 2008 HME that we're part of the Kent County Fire Commission. So we're one of 17 entities that are in this deal. Kent County gives us Kent County dollars to help buy the truck. Part of it is we are in their program. They're giving us $212,000 towards our next truck. That's why our cost is 800, well, we'll be under that, but we won't be over $1 million for the truck. So that truck will be our possession, and I think our buyout in it is like, they projected like 18,000 where we buy them out of what's left of it. And if we decide to sell it, I know I can get more than that for it, so it makes sense for us to buy them out and we turn around and sell it. The other truck that we're getting, this is a 3,000 gallon truck, like a pumper tender. The truck we probably should replace is our 2001 Freightliner. That's the oldest one we have, but it doesn't give us many problems. It's actually still a good truck. It's pre-def. I mean, the engine, we ran its wheels off for quite a while, and it's shown its age. So the nice thing is when we get the new truck, we have the opportunity to see how we operate. We don't have to run right out. We're not starving to sell one of them. I'm gonna assess what makes the most sense for us, but, I do know if we keep the 2008 engine, it's costing us $3,000 to $4,000 a month sometimes in repairs for things on it, so it's showing its age.
And Joni, just to answer your question about the 200,000.
Yep.
It's under, Department 207 administrative. It's the transfer to
Okay.
207.
Yep.
200.
Thank you.
Any capital stuff? I guess it's not major, but I see stains on the carpet in here. I was in the library community room and that's showing some age. Do we have anything built in for,
Refreshing.
yeah, we're all tightening the screws on our chairs before the meeting tonight. I just want to make sure that we have a cycle of taking care of our things and replacing them on a schedule when needed. So we don't need to go deep into it, but I don't know what our technology replacement fund is, their
Well,
cadence is.
What we can do is, why don't we have the manager come back to us in 2 weeks with a list of things.
Any
that-
recommended stuff that we haven't thought of that we should be thinking of, whether it's copy machines,
And that would be under the 8196 Broadmoor Avenue. There's definitely things that need to be updated in this office, painting, carpets, but we can put a schedule together where we,
So whatever's budgeted, come up with a plan for it, because often we'll put money aside and then not do it, because we're doing our day-to-day, and so that's,
I'm not sure this room's ever been cleaned. It's never been cleaned.
okay,
it has
carpets.
been.
I
but-
bet it
I was gonna
has.
say.
I can say this though, Kim has been working with, cause they've been next door, asked me if I'm interested. They've had carpet cleaners come in, they're getting 3 quotes to do that for offices, cause our carpet's only 2.5 or 3 years old next door, but we're much filthier than they are over here. So I know we're budgeting on that side, and I think that's planned for us, it's, repair and maintenance, that we keep track of stuff for the building. And then on the IT side, Jean that's left, she has a list of computers, ages, stuff like that, so, pretty much I think most of that stuff is built in. I'm not sure if Jean gives you a number, but I know on the fire side, I have
A
planned in.
schedule.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, we generally replace about 4 computers a year, but unfortunately this year, there are an additional 4 computers that are not compatible with the Windows upgrade, so once the Windows upgrades go in, you have to actually
means they're
just
pretty
replace
old.
them.
Yes, one of those that I logged on to is when I got hacked, and maybe all of you got emails from me, long ago.
Yeah, and I know that, Dick's not here tonight, but he did mention potentially like looking at painting the outside of the building. Apparently steel needs to be painted every so often. I don't know if Tim knows anything about that. I don't know very much about steel buildings, but
And I have a quote for that too.
I
talked
know.
to the guys when they're across the street.
I would like to see the quote.
Yes. I have 2 quotes actually, so.
Question, Chief.
Yes.
Transfer to the capital replacement fund in 2024 has 380,000 in it. What was
Yes.
that?
So that's to get to our number that we are trying to climb to, I guess, cause basically I have a schedule for how much trucks are cost, and so we see basically how much we gotta put away each year. The $200,000 that came from the general fund, along with 180 from the public safety fund, was what was allocated into the capital fund this year. Next year, I don't see putting 400,000 in and just pulling 800 back out, so that's what I'm saying is we're gonna take the 600 and the 200. And whatever I sell the truck for, the one we get rid of, will go back in as a greater contribution, but I'm trying to play it safe with allocating for equipment and the purchase of the truck.
And I am certainly not an expert in accounting, but the $200,000 is allocated in the, previous fund that the manager mentioned, but then it's allocated again as an expense in the fire department, so is it really 400,000? How's this mathematically?
I think is one revenue and the other's an expenditure.
No, they're both expenditures.
Well, because it's coming out of the general fund and
Yeah.
going to them, and they're gonna be using it.
They're taking
But it's an
their-
expense in the general fund, and then it's an expense in the fire department.
He's using 200 to buy the new truck,
I think
so that's where he's
I think
taking it
you're
out.
right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But
They're
it-
gonna
yeah.
dollars in their fund, and then they're gonna take it from their fund, and they're
gonna
gonna
do
move
it
it into the
twice.
So
capital.
if we add
Yeah.
all these budgets up, what I'm concerned is there's an extra $200,000 in
And
expenses that we made.
That might be what Dick was talking about, cause he made a
Yeah.
comment about that actually, but that's why I guess I don't think it would be this year, because the way I have it, if the 200 goes towards the truck, the general fund dollars, and we pull 600 out of the piggy bank, there shouldn't be, we're not taking the 200 expensing it back, I guess.
Right.
I don't, like I say, this is where I lean on the treasurer and
reconcile
Marcia.
it.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I
so
do,
do I.
now you bring that up, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
All right,
And if we can go backwards, if we're done with fire, sorry.
everything's on the table.
I think that the manager should put 130,000 in for manager wages for the budget as a budget, it's not a,
Approval to spend.
right. And then in Department 207 administrative, the insurance general went down to 0. I just wanted to make sure that was intentional.
So that was, remember we approved the insurance for 17 months and we paid it all up front. So we are not going to be paying for insurance again until 2027.
Okay, and that makes
That's why.
sense because our expense is way higher this year, okay.
Good eye, Sam. All right, this is just our first look. We'll make changes and get additional detail as has been requested. We'll then schedule a public hearing probably the same night as we'll see this again. But by that time, we'll have the treasurer check our math as well. So we'll do a public hearing with the ability to adopt it unless we hear something significantly.
Absolutely. And if
Okay,
you-
I thought saw your lips moving like I'm saying something wrong. So.
No, you're not saying anything wrong. I did try to send this out in advance, but if anybody wants to sit down and go over the budget with me and the numbers, I'm happy to do that. I know Tim, he responded with some suggestions. I'm happy to add them and.
I do have one more thing to add, and I don't know if it's reflected in here. The Personnel Committee has discussed, we talked about department heads, and we have some fairly valuable players on our team, and we've talked about an increase in their pay to a true managerial level. And so I don't know if those numbers are in here, if we want to talk about what that would be.
They're not, but, so just to give you guys a brief summary, we talked about getting our heads of departments up to 75,000 as a salary. And then there was discussion about, well, you know, these people have been paid hourly, but they prefer to stay hourly. So what does 75,000 look like at an hourly rate, which is $40 an hour, $40.07 an hour to get them to, at their current hourly time over the course of 52 weeks to 75,000. So that will be brought in front of the Personnel Committee. We're also talking to the fire department because the chief would like to add an additional category between firefighters and captains, a lieutenant level, kind of giving them a little bit more steps. You know, we're still discussing that, but I can add that to the budget as a recommendation, the $40 an hour.
Can I clarify that real quick? Yes,
Yeah.
as she mentioned, I did a wage study and presented to the Personnel Committee, and our captains are the lowest paid in the surrounding area around here. And the reason that is because we go from firefighter to a captain when other departments have a lieutenant's middle level. I'm not saying we have lieutenants, that might be down the road, but to get the captains where our firefighters are middle ground of where firefighters are being paid, our captains are dead bottom because they're almost being paid like a lieutenant or something in other departments, I think. So planning for the future, proposing, someday we have more staff, we have more positions, we would have a captain, lieutenant, firefighter position. I'm just saying we create the brackets now, which would bump the captains to where they need to be, and that was in a proposal to personnel. We would vacate the current captain's bracket as a lieutenant bracket, keep the firefighters where they're at. So it's 3 positions essentially that would be bumped up, much like the department heads on this side. And that would put them into playing ball with our neighbors.
And just one other additional note that we didn't discuss the building budget. It is in the back of the packet. Like you'll notice with planning that the numbers are down. That's because we haven't had as many planning meetings this year, and that's why that looks like that. This year has been down on planning but high on building. Our building department is on fire. They are working hard to catch up, but we have had the request that, you know, we bring Judy to full-time because we have so much work for her. And I reflected that in the budget as well, and something I'd like to bring up with the Personnel Committee, but, I mean, right now they're processing almost 400 permits, and that phone is ringing off the hook. Judy doesn't come in until 9. Judy doesn't come in until 9, and by that time, you know, most of the people are calling between 8 and 8:30, so we have the money in the building budget to bring her on full-time and pay her health benefits, so that's something I'd like to talk about eventually as well.
All right, thanks. I move that we close the budget workshop. No,
Or,
Let's give him time to drive out the drive.
Yeah.
he's outside the door.
all right. All right, close. Any other questions on the budget or discussion? Okay, with that, is there any public comment? No, sir? All right. Board comment, Mr. Snoy?
No, I think I'm all set.
Mr. Herman?
I'm good.
Nothing.
I'm fine for this evening.
Oh, good, I have some.
Come on.
Sorry.
Little-
No, I just want you guys to know that these are the postcards that we have sent out. So they're very bright colored, if
Yeah.
anyone asks you, because we are combining precincts for this election. There are only 3 precincts that we're gonna have open. So, hopefully the people will read their mail when they get that. And, we're excited about that. Also, we're very excited because, the MAMC grant that Stephanie and I have applied for Alaska Baptist to put in a handicap accessible door in their building, is scheduled to be installed on October 28th, so it will be there before the election, and that is a much needed accessory, and we're very happy that we were awarded that grant and we're able to do that. And then the public accuracy test for the next election is going to be next Monday at 9:30. Public is invited to that. If anyone has any questions on how the voting equipment works, they should come to that test and see how it works. That's all.
All right. Mr.
Comment to
Zoll.
that, if I
Yeah.
could. What else are we doing besides those mailers? Because I feel like that needs to be pretty well communicated to.
It's on the website, it's gonna
Okay.
be on social media, it's gonna be in the newspaper.
Can we maybe put something in the, just something, I'm just wondering when people come in, if they see it,
What
cause that seems like,
percentage-
Yeah, these will be probably up at the front desk
Okay.
too. Yep.
alright,
We do have a tax bill going out, but that will be received after the election,
Yes.
I think, so that's not an option. And then, let me think.
I think we have it on everything we can. She's,
What percentage of, off the top of your head, are vote by mail, and vote before they go, vote in the office early, vote early or vote by mail? What percentage are now
We have-
not showing up on election day?
We have 4,000 that are on our permanent absentee ballot list out of, I think the number now is up to 13,000 and some registered voters.
Okay, so that's a third.
mhm.
Will vote not on election day.
Mhm.
And of the 13,000 registered, though, only 50% participate.
Well, in,
Well-
like in this coming election, probably only maybe 15 to 20
Okay.
will show up.
All right, so we'll see, but it'll be interesting to see how
Yeah.
people actually show up. I've always voted
Yeah.
early and often, so, all right.
move to adjourn.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,